Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier for a big Wednesday edition of the show, a hump day edition. Put a smile on your face. You've made it halfway through the week and halfway through a week where we have college football this weekend. So super duper excited about that. We'll probably talk some college football week 0 stuff on Final Takes Friday. But today we got a jam-packed show for you guys. Some practice updates from the Texas Longhorns, some new things that they're doing defensively that we'll get into, the kind of thing that we teased in the thumbnail. We also have Mike Fasusi committing to Oklahoma. Does that mean that Nick Brooks is next man up? I'm not. Cody and I were looking at some film today that somebody put up. Well, we'll talk about it. We also have some leftover buy or sell questions from yesterday. We have the Senior Bowl watch list that came out, 16 Longhorns making that list. Cody and I will go down and talk about what we think about those guys' projections and which ones are likely to maybe be playing in the game in Mobile this year. So a ton of football to get to. Cody, how are you, brother?
Doing fantastic, man. I'm glad that, the days are ticking down at which we don't get to we get to stop talking about hypothetical football and start talking about real football and start, analyzing things that are happening or had happened or things of that nature instead of sitting here waiting. And Alex, just a couple days, we're going to get a couple of football games, not great ones, but Florida State, Georgia Tech's going to be worth watching at least probably for a half.
I wish they would put that game on at like night so you could barbecue, watch the game, watch some football and stuff. It's going to be at noon, right? Is it noon Eastern or is it noon Central? It might be an 11 a.m. game or something cockamamie like this.
Well, that's the thing is it's over in Dublin, so it's probably
night over there, but
it's probably 6 or 7 there. If it was night here, it'd be like 6 a.m. there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see. It's only 10 days until it's only 10 days until Texas football.
Technically, SMU at Nevada. I mean, you got SMU as a Texas team. Nevada has basically half of Texas' old roster.
Yeah, they got Kai Woods. You see the guy that.
That'll be worth.
Yeah, dude. I'll watch all of it. It's football, dude. It's gonna be a football Saturday, but yeah, only 10 days until Texas has its season opener. I mean, by this time next week, we're gonna be in the middle of game week. So it's super exciting. We'll have a bunch to cover here. Before we get into the practice updates and stuff like that, I just wanted to add, Cody. I don't really have many takes about the SEC today. The SEC announced their new tiebreaker rules for the 2024 conference championship game. I don't know if anybody in the chat sort of thinks this is important, but according to The Athletic, this is from Seth Emerson and The Athletic. They just posted this a while ago. They basically, the conference officials got together and they went through this deal for the new 16-team era. The other thing that they were going to so basically they had a meeting this week with the ADs and with the conference officials where they talked about this tiebreaker with the new 16-team format and also with the player availability injury reports, right? And they did not come to a resolution on the NFL style injury reports, which is
unfortunate.
I think it feels from the quotes from Sankey and stuff, it feels like they're going to get to it, but it hasn't been codified into any kind of law yet as far as the SEC is concerned. And we'll get into those tiebreakers in a second. I do see that we have a super chat here. We got to get right to those. Barb's 10. Thank you so much for the super chat. Our good friend Barb's. I don't know if that's I was going to say sir, but that could be like short for Barbara. So thank you so much, sir or madam, for that super chat. I guess Cody doesn't have to remember how to say Fusasi anymore. I think we're going to talk a little bit about him today. Fasusi was Fugazi on House Divided. Didn't hit as hard as we could.
Shout out to you, Barb's 10. Appreciate the super chat. That's a good call.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Fasusi here in a second. It's a big loss, man. And I hate to say it, but look, we're here to shoot you straight. And there are going to be some times when we're breaking down these games and where the deep dig pisses people off, and it's like it's a big loss, and Nick Brooks is not going to be a good enough consolation prize. Regardless, so here's what happens here. So we have so here are the 6 factors for the tiebreakers. They did come to this. So head to head among the tied teams, right? Then record versus common opponents. This is all normal. Then record against the highest team in the standings that both teams have played, and failing that proceeding downward through other common opponents. So basically what that means is they're going to say, all right, so you guys both played Georgia, right? Georgia was 12-1. They're the best team that both you guys played that was a shared opponent. Did one of y'all beat him? Okay, if you beat him, you get in, right? After that, it gets to the cumulative conference winning percentage of all conference opponents for each tied team. So that was what they call essentially the strength of schedule.
Yep.
And then after that, this one, it seems interesting to me. Capped relative scoring margin versus all conference opponents. And what the Athletic says is that's a metric that's derived by comparing the team's points scored and allowed to the opponent's average points scored and allowed per an appendix in the tie-breaking rules. So the cap scoring margin was apparently given to the SEC by Sports Source Analytics. And so anybody out there that hates analytics and says it's ruining everything. Apparently they're going to be bringing the cockamamie. You're going to have these PFF nerds with their pocket protectors coming in and telling what team can't go to the SEC championship, I guess.
People are going to love that.
Hey, dude, and while we're here at The Athletic, I can't help but talk about this. I missed it this morning, and I just saw it because Quinn Ewers was with the cover of it, and it's the Stuart Mandel's mailbag, which, by the way, mailbags and chats and stuff like that. I think that people like them and stuff, but for writers, it's a little bit of a cop out. Like whenever I do one, I'm like, man, I'm doing this chat because I can't think of something to write, and I'm depending on people to crowdsource it for me to where do you know what I mean? It's like
the best mailbags is from a consumer, in my opinion, as a consumer, are the ones that you get here. It's like guys in the space that do them are like, in this fantasy space, JJ Zachariason, Adam Levitan. There's another. Josh Pate does it. Like guys, like if you do it on a podcast, on a show where you email that mailbag in and you can actually respond to it here, I think that's a real way to do it. But getting it and like using it as a piece of content, a column.
I mean, look, it's a crutch.
Like it is kind of a scrub of a,
I've had to do it. I mean, I've had to do it before. There's some like whenever
everyone's done it, but
whenever you got to write about the Longhorns, twice a week and write, 1,000 words on them twice a week. It's just sometimes you're just like, man, I'm out. It's the middle of June and there's no spring practice and I'm out of ideas. But Stuart Mandel, I got nothing against it, but just a little bit of a crack here on the format. But so the question was, but here we are talking about it, and I clicked on the column. So who's the real winner here? He says pick a team ranked in the top 10 and an unranked team to swap places before the playoff. Bonus points if they play each other during the year.
Florida State.
David H. What do you say?
Florida State.
You would answer Florida State? A top 10? Are they top? What is their ranking again?
8, maybe?
Okay.
10.
Right.
10 on 10 according to the whatever the ESPN has up right now.
Okay. So Stuart Mandel, and you guys know Stuart Mandel. All right. He's a senior college football writer for the Athletic now. After many years, I think at ESPN. Was that ESPN he was at? I don't know. Anyway, it says, as we get closer to the season, I do wonder whether Texas will be this year's inevitable preseason top 10 team that ends up going 7-5. That's how he starts the column. Dude, 7-5 would be a Chernobyl meets Fukushima meets 3 Mile Island around Orange Bloods, man. Like that's not so. Basically what he said, for one thing, the hype surrounding the Longhorns is based entirely on one great season after 13 mediocre ones before that. Their schedule includes both the defending national champion Michigan and the preseason number 1 team Georgia, plus 3 out for blood rivals Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas A&M, all of whom they face away from home. That's a lot. Meanwhile, if you haven't heard, Texas, which was already tasked with replacing second-round running back Jonathan Brooks, you guys know this, they're down to 3 scholarship running backs with C.J. Baxter and Clark hurt. Steve Sarkisian said this week that he's on the hunt for an 11th round, an 11th hour transfer, of which there aren't many left. So he said, given the SEC landed 9 teams on the preseason poll, I'm afraid I don't have a logical top 10 candidate from among its 7 unranked clubs, but somebody somewhere is going to do it. Could that somebody be Nebraska? Then he starts talking about Matt Rule and just all this.
People in Orange Boys don't want to hear none about that Matt Rule. I've already crossed that path 4 times this summer.
I think he's he's a better college coach than he is a pro coach. Man, some of his hijinks don't work with grown men. I started to worry about some of the stuff that the Jim Harbaugh, the stuff he's doing with the Chargers locker room.
It seems odd, doesn't it?
He's putting all their high school star rankings on their lockers. I'm like, man, that sounds real college-y. It's like sometimes these guys are better. Sometimes these guys are better at one or the other.
Imagine, just to go on that for just 1 second. Just imagine being like a 10-year vet and being like, yeah, you're a 2-star. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, what?
Cussing. Remember the rules. Football with friends, family.
Can't cuss. Oh my gosh, forgot. But like, imagine they put like a 2-star and you're like ranked 417th in the country by rivals, and you're like, I'm in the NFL. Like, in all of these guys, like, I'm the number 1 prospect, and I'm in the NFL. Why does it matter? Like, it is definitely an interesting tactic.
Yeah, I think it takes one of these dudes who really needs a super duper chip on his, some of these guys are just they'll let anything be a chip on their shoulder. But I think it just takes one of those dudes that's a total chip on the shoulder guy that'll be, just anybody that ever slided him, just wears it around like a backpack, like it needs to be one of those dudes.
I was a 2-star in 10th grade. Okay,
yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But it's funny. It's funny, some guys. I mean, I think Mahomes is kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm all like Mahomes is always like you're just like this whole time, like we've been the underdogs. Everybody said that we couldn't do it. Like, it's like, who said the Chiefs couldn't do it? Who said that you couldn't? That's like, no one's saying that. But yeah, so yeah, it'll be an interesting tactic for sure. All right, so we'll talk about Fasusi in a second. I guess we should get to the practice update. Okay, so we told you guys. So what they're doing right now is they're doing a mock week. So the football players are not in school yet, but they're like, we went over this yesterday, but in case you weren't watching, and almost 300 of you in here now, only 13 minutes in, man. Thanks so much to everybody for being here. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. The mock week is a week where they're drilling a lot of situational work. They said a bunch of red zone, this kind of stuff. I think that they're going to be doing some Michigan stuff. I think they're going to be getting ready for I think they're going to be getting ready for Orgy, maybe simulating him a little bit, but not so much CSU. What?
I thought you said Norgy.
Alex Orgy, simulating him a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Okay. The Colorado State stuff doesn't start till next week. We'll have the press conference Monday morning. It'll be the regular media availability for the coaches. They'll have their regular week. They'll be in school, and then they'll have the actual game, right? But this week they're going through the mock week, and they have a mock game on Saturday. Well, one of the things I heard from yesterday is that they've installed a couple of new defensive packages. And look, this is nothing that's going to this isn't any kind of state. Like on Orange Bloods, there was a guy last night, and I guess he was just kidding around with me. But he's like, dude, now Colorado State's going to know what we're doing and stuff. I'm like, dude, this is not nuclear secret stuff. But I figured it'd be interesting that people would like to hear, because it is new, okay? They're putting in a dime package, and they're putting in what's called a dollar package. And I had never heard of a dollar package. Had you ever heard of that before? I'd never heard it called this. A dollar?
Is that like a cover 4?
Well, it could be, because what it is. Okay, so here's what it is. Both of these involve 3 safeties, which is interesting because we had kind of a bunch of issues with different safeties working in with the ones, and why was Derek Williams working with the twos this day, or why was Jelani McDonald getting work with the ones, or this day it was Michael Taff and Andrew Makuba, and this day it was um, Jelani and Derek Williams or whatever else, right? Well, they're playing 3 of these guys, and so what it is with the dime package, they have 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker, 6 DBs. So it's 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker, presumably Anthony Hill, and 6 DBs, which were it was Jade Barron and Manny Muhammad at the corners, Jalen Gilbo at nickel corner, and 3 safeties. I don't know who they are, but Cody, I would have to assume it's Makuba, Derek Williams, Michael Taff.
I just researched this a little bit, and basically this dollar defense centrics back to the 1979 Rams.
And well, I had never heard of it, but what theirs is it's a 3-2-6.
Okay, well, this says that they ran a 43 front only with the Rams.
Okay, and I don't know
what the dollar and dime were two. The dollar and dime were 2 defensive backs that came up and essentially played like a 2 linebacker set, and like it looks like a 4-2, but then they have 5 on the back end, so it looks like a 4-2-5. But
okay, well,
it's a very old. It looks like it's very old, but not often used.
The variation of this that they're basically what they're doing on this thing is so we talked about the dime with the 1 linebacker, right? With this thing, they're going to have Hill and Blackwell, not Benda, and then they're going to have I would presume those same 6 DBs, but only 3 down linemen. And what is interesting about this is the down linemen aren't necessarily going to be like the big defensive tackles and stuff like we'd be used to seeing. I think that this will be a deal where it's like maybe Anthony Collins, or I'm sorry, Alfred Collins is going to be at the nose, but then it'll probably be like Ethan Burke as the other inside guy, and then like Simmons and Trey Moore or something like this, right? And then with the 3 down, you might have Alfred Collins in the middle, but on the outsides you could have like Sorrell and or it could be a thing. Honestly, it could be a thing where it's like maybe Ethan Burke is at the nose in this kind of spot. These are obviously longer down and distance types of alignments and schemes, right? These are for passing downs. These are for kind of prevent type of defenses, clearly. But the interesting thing is Pete Kwiatkowski's never done this at Texas. He's never done either of these things. I chart every game. Like there's like the 6 DB stuff just doesn't happen, So I was asking somebody, I'm like, is it like, were they just coming up with this because they want to get like Barron on the field more or something like that? Then they're like, no, man, Nansen ran it all the time last year. So that's more of just kind of the stuff that we talked about is the stuff we talked about yesterday about how Nansen with Anthony Hill and all the rest of it. It's not just him coaching him as a linebacker, right? It's the fact that he's the co-defensive coordinator. He has some of his fingerprints on the actual the foundational principles of the actual scheme, right? And I think that this is even further evidence of that we're getting to see these things that PK has never done before. And we have K-Drag in the chat. He's saying, I think this is the wrong league for such a defense. It would have been good last year. Well, but see, that's fair. Well, no, because it isn't. Well, it's not the right way to think about it. You're not going to run out. You're not going to run out there versus every team and just go out there with this is your base defense. This is a situational defense. Correct. It's like that. It's like that NASCAR package that we talked about. Right? They're not going to start out with this.
Also, the talent at the positions on the back end. Like you list off those guys. It's like last year when you think about this talent right here: Muhammad, Makuba, Taff, Williams, Barron, Gilbo. Like, go back to a year ago. That wasn't what that group was.
Dude, Terrence Brooks, we talked about yesterday, played 68% of the snaps last year. Watts is too slow.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like the speed and the talent and the coverage ability with those 6 guys is way different than it was last year. So hypothetically, yeah, but I guess the right way to look at it would be like if Texas wasn't going to the SEC, they would still be implementing this and it would still be the right process. It just happens to be where they're going. Yes, it would have made sense to have it in the Big 12 because of the way the teams play against you, but it's not like this is going to be the base. That's the biggest point.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this is not a base package. Texas is a 4-3 nickel base, right? It's like their base defense is a 4-2-5.
Yeah.
It's like that's what they're going to go out there and run. It's like that's what it is with two real big guys in the middle and one big, good run stopping, strong side defensive end and Barron Sorrell, and then one kick butt edge rusher and Trey Moore. And like that's what it's going to be. Like when they lace him up and run out there just for the first snap of the season, that's what it's going to be. But if they get some team in 3rd and 18 or something like that, this is just something that you could see, right? So just wanted to keep you guys updated about what's going on at practice as we get into the season and stuff. Clearly, we'll have less and less information from practice outside of breaking news about stuff, maybe guys getting injured and all the rest of that. But I figured it was important to at least pass that along. I thought it was interesting because it's something that we just haven't seen. And it's always cool when something novel and new comes up. If there was something else that was really novel and really new last week whenever I ate a Denver steak from Texas Beef Traders. But today I got back to my roots, and I got a Delmonico that I'm going to throw on here in a minute from Texas Beef Traders. Have you been to Texas Beef Traders yet? You get 10% off, and it's right here from Mason, Texas. It gets delivered every week there to the store. The storefront is in the heart of Lakeway, Texas, right off of Loman's Crossing. TexasBeefTraders.com. At Texas Beef Traders, the meat has never had any vaccines touch it. It's never had any kind of cockamamie shots, none of this steroids, none of these injections, none of these antibiotics, all non-GMO feed, grass-fed, finished with grocery store level. They go to like grocery stores and ask them for the stuff that it's like it's about to go bad for people, and they buy it at a cheaper price, and they finish these animals with this kind of stuff. They have bovine nutritionists out there to make sure this meat tastes so delicious at Texas Beef Traders. Cody and I will be there on the 6th of September for a live taping of Football with Friends, 6 p.m. So come up there. Cody and I will be up there beforehand. We'll be drinking beers. We might be a little tipsy by the time of the show, but it's fine because we'll have plenty of meat to eat. Plenty of good. We'll have burgers. They'll cook up sausages. They'll cook up steaks. You guys will never believe what Darren and Shay and Dan and the crew up there are going to have for you. So make sure to mark that on your calendars. Come out to Lakeway, Texas Beef Traders. Go to TexasBeefTraders.com right now. You can make an order there. Take your 10% off. And look, if you can't make it out to Lakeway, call up there. Just talk to Darren. Talk to Shay. Just talk to one of them. Get yourself a haul of beef, dude. Get 10% off, and they'll just bring it to your house. TexasBeefTraders.com. All right. So, is Texas Beef Traders like a restaurant / butcher shop? No. Well, all right. What it is they, Darren.
It's different than anything you've ever seen before.
Yeah. Darren has a winery too, and so technically it's not a restaurant. I can't say that, right? But he has a winery there. He sells wines as well, and the wine pairings are great. I don't ever talk about it, but they're awesome. But when you have a winery, you can have a tasting room. And so that way, yeah, they're allowed to give you beer and wine and all the rest of it. They're allowed to cook you up steak, and they're allowed to do all this stuff. That's how it goes. Like, you've never been to a spot like Texas Beef Traders. Go on the weekend and go kind of in the afternoon, and they're gonna hook you all up, dude. But that'll be a fun show. And if you come up to the show, we'll bring an extra mic, and you guys can come on and talk. Like, we'll just bring people on to talk.
Alex, one question before we get back to it. You're talking about cooking up your Delmonico. I want to know, and I want the people to know, where are you cooking and how are you cooking this thing up? Are we cooking this in the oven? Are we cooking this on a pan? Are we cooking this on a
Unfortunately, Cody, I don't have
box.
I don't have an oven right now because I'm such a frugal cheapskate, and I have this. The motherboard went down in my oven range, and I refuse to pay $738 to the appliance repair guy. So I've ordered the new part. The new part came in. It didn't work, and I can't so I'm down like $130 so far. I I got the new, and so it's like I'm just out. Like I'm not gonna be able to use it for anything. And so I got the new part coming in. So yeah, man, this is gonna be just right out on the grill. I'm gonna put them on kebabs so the kids can eat them too.
Out on the boomer box.
Yep,
The Weber boomer.
On the boomer box. Sandman's right. The old Weber grill.
This is the way to do it right here. The cast iron is mucho.
I like the boomer box. All right. All right. So let's talk about what else do we have to talk about, man? We have a ton. Do you want to talk about the Senior Bowl guys? You want to talk about
you were in the middle of the Stuart Mandel thing. I want to just pop up. This is another piece because you said Stuart Mandel kind of talked about Texas being a 7-5 football team. I want to get your thoughts on this bracket that Brent McMurphy from the Action Network posted out. This was a couple days ago, August 19th, so Monday. He posted this as his official preseason bowl projections. Number 1 seed Oregon, 2 seed Bama, 3 Miami, 4 Utah. So those are your conference champions. And as you can see, the 12th seed is the G5 team, which is Texas State. And the other thing you'll notice here is it's Ole Miss, Bama, Georgia, LSU, the 4 SEC teams, no Texas included. And also Iowa makes it at the 11, and Virginia Tech and Kyron Drones make it in as the 10. What are your instant analysis thoughts from this bracket right here, Alex?
I just say take it off the screen. That whole Texas State thing is just too cockamamie, dude. Just, are you kidding me, man? Like Texas State, I guess there's probably going to be some. I guess they do have to have one of these little schools, right? So somebody's going to get bounced out for some kind of Texas State or Monmouth or something like this.
So it's going to be like Texas State, Liberty. I think those are the favorites. Maybe James Madison, I think, is up in there. Those are like the type of teams that are favored right now to be in that spot. But I just thought it was interesting right away. I brought up Iowa and Virginia Tech as the 10 and 11. Those are the last 2 Power 5 teams. And like you look at those schedules, Virginia Tech and Iowa basically have to go 10 and 2. It feels like to box out. So that means he probably thinks Texas is a 3-loss, 4-loss team if they're not going to make this top 12.
Sark said it is availability the other day whenever he was saying like he gave the hint. He's like, you can lose 1, 2, 3 games and still make the playoff. You think it's possible? Is there still this is more of a like a Chad Hastings question, because he's nerds out on this stuff. He's like, well, technically they can, but like, is 3 losses? Can you still make it maybe by the skin of your teeth?
Yes, I think 3 losses you can still make it. It's going to be tight, but I think 3 losses you still can. If you pull up ESPN from this past year, I believe the team that was boxed was Oklahoma, who ended up finishing, I think, 12th, and they were, I want to say, 9-3. Probably would be best.
But they would have gotten booted for the G5 team.
Correct. They were going to gotten boxed by that G5 team. They came in. Let's look here. So the final ranking last year, week 15, was Oklahoma at 12. They were 10-2. LSU was 9-3. Arizona was 9-3. That was the following teams. Every team from Oklahoma on up. So Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Penn State, Missouri. That was 9, 10, 11, 12. Were all 10-2. Oregon was 11-2. And then everybody into the top 7 had a 1 loss or 0. So I think if you want to be safe.
There were some 3 that snuck in, though.
What's that?
There were some 3 that did, like you said, LSU snuck.
No, LSU was the 13.
Oh.
Arizona was 14 with 3 losses. Louisville was 15 with 3 losses.
No one last year with 3 losses?
None. No teams in the top 12. And like I said, 12 got boxed out because it was Oklahoma. Technically, they would have lost that spot to Liberty, who was 13-0, and they were 23rd in the country. So Liberty would have taken that 12 spot, and Oklahoma at 10-2 would have missed out on the playoffs last year.
10 days, Cody. It's going to be a tightrope for these guys to walk, dude. 10 days. Ugh. You got those videos of Fasusi and Nick Brooks?
I do. Which one you want to see first?
Put up the video of Nick Brooks.
Are you sure?
Yep.
All right. This
isn't a huddle reel. I'm not sure about the way this guy moves, and I'm not sure about his balance, man. It's like the person who had tweeted this out said that he saw him go against this guy. Is there any way to So Brooks, you can see who he is.
Brooks is up this right here.
Yeah, left tackle, and there's some reps here that just don't look very strong to me, man. He gets out over the balls of his feet. He looks like he has a couple little balance issues, and just the way that he moves, clearly that that's a bad rep right there. Gosh, can you go back on that, Cody?
He got mollywopped, bro. He got mollywopped.
How did he get beat
by a high schooler?
Yeah, is this that rep?
This is the rep.
Because what you count on here is the power in this situation. This guy should never ever lose this.
Look how far out left he got.
What he's doing is he's getting off balance. He's getting out over the balls of his feet with that lateral step, dude. And just watch how he strikes.
Everything's on his left side right now, and this guy's gonna.
Yep, it's just a bad rep, man. So you kind of watch this guy. You watch the way he moves, and I mean, you can obviously tell the way he wins, and that Coach Flood thinks that he can just take these big dudes, and he says, "I don't care. I'm going to be able to change them. I'm going to be able to have these guys run in the SEC, and we're going to run behind them." But I just think with Brooks, I think I see some stuff in here in the huddle highlights that's a little bit disguised. It has to do with his balance issues. And look, I understand he's 6'8". He's always gonna have this stuff with
there's a good rep.
Just the high center of gravity, right? Like he's gonna have it. And when you have a super high center of gravity, you're gonna have these issues. But you say that, I mean, people in the chat are saying that he's a guard and all this, but here's the thing: how many 6'8" guards do you know? It's like I mean, I guess Arch is a pretty tall quarterback, but that's really hard to see over and really hard to step up into a pocket with a 6'8" dude there. So I don't know, man. I worry a little bit about his feet. I worry a little bit about his balance. I worry a little bit about his lateral agility, his striking. Whereas if you were to just watch the highlights and see him, you would say, okay, well, this is a guy that they can really turn into a mauler. And it doesn't make it. Gosh, it's just
shouldn't be giving up ground to a 6'3",
man. It's like very little anchor right there on that
200 pounder.
That's very little anchor. So I just want you guys to look at the way his feet move and that anchor right there. And then let's just put on the clip of
he's arguably the worst tackle in this play right here. Worst lineman. Like he gave up the most ground out of any of the linemen in this group.
Yeah. So I don't think that we need to belabor it. We're not here to bash the kid, but like this is more of just a kind of a learning thing for anybody that wants to come through and say that it's no big deal to lose Fasusi because Texas might get Brooks. What I'm saying is he's obviously going to need some development, and there's obviously some things that are going on with the fact that even right that anchor, that's
a double team, by the way. They had to double team this kid.
You know what I mean? It's like it's a little concerning, man. That's all. So, like I said, Cody, I don't want to belabor this. Like I feel like we're really dragging him. Like I don't want to do this, but
we're not dragging him.
This is some bad stuff. And so now let's put on Fasusi.
That was definitely not meant to be dragging. It was just like what we're going through. We're going through watching the tape. That's the point.
If you just watch Fasusi, you watch his feet and his anchor here. And like I said, we're not trying to it's just I would just like you to compare the way his feet look and the way his anchor is and how balanced he is and how put together he is. It's like, and I know this is just a camp, but it doesn't matter. You can still tell the feet. You can still tell the balance. You can understand that first kick step, right? Wages he can keep the way he keeps his hips up, keeps his hips right out in front of him. Stays engaged, stays in front of these guys. It's just very, very different. So Cody and I were sending these clips back and forth earlier, and we said we ought to show these on the show so we can, if people are gonna, dude. I mean, gosh, he's a well put together kid. Oklahoma got a good one, man. I mean, they got a good one. Maybe Texas can flip him back, but it's a big loss. And if I think look, the fact that he is that good and the fact that Texas threw in the towel, I think that only means what's the 2026 kid's name?
Turpentine.
Turn time that works with D-Hawk.
I already got it wrong.
Yeah. I think that Texas, maybe Texas is like, man, it's like we think we'll get that guy. You know, I just look, man. I think that Texas, it feels to me, if we look at it since 2022, look what you've had. You've had a year where you get the 5-star studs, right? You get 2022 where you get DJ Campbell, and then you really kind of feels like you just luck box your way into Kelvin Banks plus Cam Williams flipping from Oregon, right? And then you wrap that thing up with Neto and the rest of the crew, right? That's an unbelievable class. But it was a class that had like its crown jewel, right? That class really had 2 crown jewels. I would have said 3 because I loved Cam Williams, but it was Kelvin Banks and it was DJ Campbell, right? 2023 comes along. You look at that class and you're like, dude, they all look super developmental to me, but I trust Flood. No problems here. Go ahead and take the Connor Strohs of the world and the Kojos and the Peyton Kirkland's already left and all. It turns out it looks like Goosby's going to be a hit out of that whole deal, right? But it was a class. 2023 is going to be. 2023 was like 2025 is going to be, right? Because there's not the Fasusi crown jewel, right? 2024 had a crown jewel, Brandon Baker, but Brandon Baker's right. He's like third on the depth chart right now, but he's your 5-star stud. He's gonna end up being really good for Texas at some point if he develops properly.
365 days is a long time from now.
Yeah, dude. And dude, I just trust Kyle Flood. I'll say it and say it and say it, dude. What he did with Christian Jones radicalized me. I'm just like, I'm one of these people. I'm just like, I'm a radical. I'm a true believer. I believe in the cause, man. I think Flood can do it. I think he can do things that other people can't do. Like I've been radicalized. So if and that was because I saw with my, you were going to tell me that Christian Jones is going to get drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in what round was that, round 3 or 4? Are you kidding? Round 5? Are you kidding me? Even coming into that season, I would have laughed you out of the room. So Brandon Baker's going to be good, right? He was an awesome prospect coming in, but like he's an expensive player. He's an expensive player. He cost him a lot of NIL money. And maybe 2025 is going to be like 2023, and hopefully one of these guys hits. And maybe next thing you know, you look up and, oh my God, Devin Coleman. Oh gosh, can you believe Devin Coleman? Gosh, nobody had any idea that Jackson Christian was going to come in and be on the immediate on the 2 deep. Like he took Neto Yamuzulo's job or something. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like there could be something like that, right?
Hypothetically,
right? Kind of like Gooseby. So if 2023 is like 2025, maybe 2026 is what they're kind of setting up. Maybe it's just like every couple of years, man, they get their real foundational pieces here on the offensive line. And that's the way that they've chose to allocate it. Because the fact that they just kind of said, we're out on Fasus, like, it's like they gave up. And the only way that I can rationalize it in my mind, I can't give you an insightful answer because it's like they're going to answer me about this.
I don't know if give up versus folded their cards is the same, right? Like,
no,
I think at a certain point, like monetarily, you just like, all right, well, I'll fold. I'm done putting it in. Like,
well, it's like we're having the daily and black auction over there on the site, right? You guys can check it out over on Orange Bloods, man. I think we've raised like $20,000 for NIL for the baseball team through that thing. Yeah, and it's a good time to join because you get 60% off your. I've been slacking about getting that tweeting that thing out, Cody. I've almost forgot that was going on. I've been so busy with everything and writing 2 columns yesterday and all the rest. But so it's 60% off the first year of an annual subscription right now to join Orange Bloods with promo code Kickoff 2024. But yeah, there's the auction right now. But it's like one of these auctions, dude. Like it's like. So you're bidding on something and you think you can get like a signed photo of VY and Earl Campbell and Colt McCoy and Ricky Williams all together for $600, and then somebody comes in like 800. You're like, all right, 1,000. And some dude comes in, he's like, I'll do 2,250, and you're like, oh, all right.
All right. Well, I'm going home.
I can't, like I can't. And I don't think that what I was proposing and you saying that, or I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. I think that they can say like it could be part, like they're kind of out because they kind of can't. And the budget allocation is only to kind of get one of these cornerstone offensive linemen once every 2 years and hope that with Flood's development, those guys all hit. And then you get some other guys that are surprises who hit, because there are surprises that hit all the time. Connor Williams, stuff like this, Cosme. These are players that turned out to be really, really good at Texas that weren't 5 stars.
And I think that's the positive you have to think about is everyone's like, well, we want Fasusi. And it's like, well, maybe you don't need Fasusi. You want him, and it'd be nice to have him. It'd be nice to have, Banks leave, and hypothetically Fasusi's the new Banks, right? But you also have done a pretty good job having Kyle Flood be a guy that is able to bring along these 3 stars, which is what we talked about last week when we were talking about the Fasusi and Brooks thing at the beginning was, is Texas going to be okay without him? It's like, yes, because the number of 3 stars that they've had the last 3 years, and that class you're alluding to just a couple of years ago was full of 3 stars that have all come along pretty well. And you can kind of expect those guys to probably be in the starting roles next season. So if he can continue to progress these 3 stars, and then every once in a while, every other year, you get a boom 5-star starter day one. It's a pretty sound strategy as long as you can stay within your means strategically, like be in on a guy to a certain point and be able to, have the stones to pull out and not get overextended. I guess that's the best way I can say it.
We have the Outsiders tonight, right?
Correct.
You know that they also have a sponsorship from Poncho Outdoors. I mean, those guys are always wearing their Poncho Outdoors gear. I love Poncho shirts, man. They're the absolute best. Whether you're fishing, whether you're at the ranch, no matter what it is that you're doing, Poncho Outdoors is going to be what you want. These shirts fit so well. They fit. They sit on your body just so awesome. Like everything about them is quality, and the customer service is second to none. If there's something wrong with your shirt, if you need to trade it in for a new one for the lifetime of the shirt, they're going to take care of you on that. They're vented. They are great to wear to the football game. Like they have the new Texas edition one. That's not like the one Colt's wearing. That is a great burnt orange one. My pastor actually wore one to church on Sunday, and my wife was telling me that that would be a great game day shirt. But they actually have a new one that is with their new official college football line that's licensed by the University of Texas, and you can go check that out over at Poncho Outdoors. But we're super glad to have them here as a sponsor with us. Poncho Outdoors. Go check out their clothes, man. Like we wouldn't advertise for them if they weren't super awesome. So make sure and check them out. You guys are super awesome, man. Look, man, it's almost 600 of y'all in the chat already. We can't thank you enough for being here. We certainly appreciate you guys, and we also appreciate everybody that's going to be watching the show back later. If you guys can please remember to like the show, subscribe to the channel, like the show. So yesterday I told everyone, like, man, we need your likes today. Ketchum was complaining about not enough likes, and we got a ton of likes yesterday. I feel like I have to beg every day, beg that same way every day, Cody. Just please like the show. Please like it. We would really appreciate it.
Put food on my plate, please.
It just helps more people to see the show, and if more people see the show, that means that we can get sponsors to where we can make money, like make some money and stuff, and we want to make some cash, man. So, yes, please, like the show, man. Help us out if you're a fan of what we're doing, and if you just like hanging out with us and having some fun. It makes a big deal to do that. I didn't, Cody. Did you look at what the list of the 16 Longhorns that were invited to the Senior Bowl were?
I did, because I put that as my column today.
Okay.
So it's up on Orange Bloods right now.
All right. Let's see here. Can you pull it up? I'm sorry. I'm in another email here. So you can just read the names?
I can read the names.
Okay. Because what I had, I was just searching on X, and they did this stupid thing where they made like videos of it.
Yeah, that's super confusing. So 16 guys made it. The teams with the most players inside the Senior Bowl watch list. This is all the guys with 16 plus. Texas, Florida, Florida State, Notre Dame all had 16. Oregon had 17. Ohio State and LSU had 18. Alabama had 19. Texas A&M and Georgia both had 20, and Ole Miss had 21.
Texas A&M had 20, huh? On the
20.
Senior Bowl watch list.
So those are like literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SEC teams in the top list right there. All right. So
do you view Texas A&M as being that talent rich?
their defense is pretty talent rich, I would say.
Huh.
All right. Let's go through Texas. All right. Number 1, Bert Auburn, kicker.
He'll go.
Kelvin Banks.
He won't. Jim Nagy sure would love it if old Kelvin Banks showed up for the senior. He's not showing up for the Senior Bowl. Are you kidding me? That's a 0.0% chance that Kelvin Banks is rolling into Mobile next year when we're leaving. Whenever we're leaving. What's the name of the breakfast place, man? It was closed last year. Spotted Tea.
Spotted Tea.
I hope it's back open this year.
All right. Jade Barron.
He'll go.
Silas.
Oh, he'll go.
Isaiah Bond.
He won't go. If he leaves for the NFL, he's not going to go to the Senior Bowl.
That's fair. I think that's fair. All right, Vernon Broughton.
I'm not sure he ends up getting the invite.
Alfred Collins.
Dude, pack his bags. He's already there. Jim Nagy thinks he just talks about how sexy he is. I mean, Jim Nagy already has his Jim Nagy shorts get real tight whenever he starts thinking about Alfred Collins.
Quinn Ewers.
I mean, Galco's white whale for the Shrine Bowl was Quinn Ewers. So I think what Quinn would do is go to the Shrine Bowl and do the stuff where Galco just lets him do the media stuff like Jay Brooks and JT Sanders and stuff did last year, but not really work out. I don't think he'll go to the Senior Bowl. I think he'll go to the Shrine Bowl and be a non-participant.
He'll get to go up and hang out in Dallas for the weekend when potentially Dak Prescott doesn't have a contract. That might be a fun idea.
Yeah.
Get a free visit.
Did you see the mock draft today that sent him to the Field Yates? Sent him to the Raiders. Gosh, would that be
Field Yates is so interesting to me. David Binda.
No, I don't think he gets invited. I think he'll get invited to the Shrine Bowl.
Okay. Gunnar Helm.
Shrine Bowl.
That's a pretty good idea. Jermaine Lole.
Yes. Shrine Bowl or maybe the Polynesian Bowl.
Oh, that's a good call. I was going to say that'd be interesting to have Lole and Collins go. I'm going to write that down. Trey Moore.
If he leaves, he's not going to go.
Oh, you think just if he gets a first round grade, you think he just holds it and doesn't go?
Yep.
Okay. Makuba.
He's the kind of guy that I think scouts might want to see again. You know what I mean?
Yep. Especially if they have him in a low snap share role, specified role with having Williams and Taft back there. If Makuba doesn't play as much as they might want him to.
Yeah, I think that Makuba might actually go. How many is that? Is that like 8 of them?
I'm writing them down. You got one more, Baron Sorrell.
Oh, he'll go.
Okay, and then you have two offensive linemen.
What? Okay, so we already said Banks. He's not going. So it's Majors and Connor?
Correct.
So I'm not sure. I don't know if those guys get in, but Majors might get an invite. I'm not sure. Connor's going to need to play better. He's going to need to. He's going to need to quit allowing play side penetration on outside zone up the left side of his body this season. That's the one thing that he needs to do, man. If he can do that one thing, if he can just on stretch zone, if he can keep his play side shoulder forward and not get his hip spin around and blow that thing up and force the early cutback, he's going to be just fine and he'll play really well. And maybe he would make a Senior Bowl or something like that. But that was an issue last year that we pointed out like the first week of the season that never got fixed. And I was convinced he was hurt, something with his left leg or his left ankle or something, where he was kind of nursing it. And they were talking about how like, we needed this week off. We got some banged up guys, Hayden Connor, all their, so you'll never convince me that he was playing healthy last year. So maybe he will be better with that. But right now I would say I think Majors would be a little more likely.
So the big difference here, so we have 7 guys. You said Senior Bowl, 3, you said Shrine. When I go look at the Shrine list, it did, let's see, it did not have Trey Moore, and it did not have, sorry, it had Trey Moore, it did not have Baron Sorrell.
The Shrine
Bowl
list did not.
The Shrine Bowl did not have, sorry, my eyes are playing tricks on me. Didn't have Vernon Broughton. Had Vernon Broughton. Oh, where am I missing here? What am I missing? The only one that it had is Gavin Holmes. It had Gavin Holmes.
Well, Gal goes really into Gavin Holmes. He told me that at SEC Media Days.
So that's probably another one that'll be marked on there. So Gavin Holmes probably goes there.
If Gavin, he will invite Gavin Holmes.
So Majors is on the Shrine list. Connor's on the Shrine list. Banks is not on the Shrine list for obvious
because Galco knows he's
correct. Correct. So, but that's the 16th. But then there's a sub because Holmes is on this list, but not on the other list. The odd man out is Silas. He's here. Isaiah Bond. So Isaiah Bond and Kelvin Banks are the 2 that aren't on the Shrine list. And then Gavin Holmes is the one that's not on the Senior Bowl list.
Well, I mean, Nagy's going to put Bond on there just because he's so close with all those Alabama guys.
Okay, so there you go. So that's the difference. Banks and Bond were not on the Shrine, but they are on the Senior. Holmes was not on the Senior, but was on the Shrine. Everybody else was the same.
You have the ticker rolling across the bottom. I see that. I just checked my Football with Friends emails, and there are a couple of you guys that I didn't know sent me some photos and sent me some stuff, and I'm going to get back with y'all after the show. I should have checked this before the show, but it's fwfemails@gmail.com. If you want to send a message to me or to Cody of stuff you want to hunting picture. It looks like somebody might have sent some hunting pictures here. If I can look, I mean, the title is hunting pics. So thank you for that. We'll put those up tomorrow. Hunting pictures, fishing pictures, pictures at the football game, tailgates, pictures of food, whatever, man. We're here to have fun. So send those or just send whatever you want. You got some crazy video of you like just totally eating it on your wakeboard. We would love to see that. Any of that kind of stuff, man. We're here for the content from you guys, man. It would not be a show without the chat. It's fwfemails@gmail.com. And again, you can just, if you have suggestions for the show, if you want to sponsor the show, you want to do any of that stuff, man, we would love to hear from you. Cody, we have some buy or sells that I didn't get to yesterday that I just wanted to clear out. So I'm not leaving them in here the whole time, but I can't help but notice that we've now crept up well over 600 people in the Specs chat line. So thanks to everybody for being here. We can't believe the number of viewers that we have here on the show.
I can believe it. I don't know about you. I can believe it.
No, it's a lot more than we used to have on the old Football with Friends, for sure. On those Final Takes Fridays when you and I have like 40 people watching or something, man. It's a bigger audience. So we can't thank you guys enough. We certainly work really hard to make sure we're prepared for a good show with very, very little filler and a lot of football talk. But we do have to thank our great sponsor of the Specs chat line, which of course is Specs.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, here we go. Cody, buy or sell? We have some OU fans in the chat. I see this dude, Egg Daily. You know, I eat an egg daily. Egg daily. I hope you have your own chickens if you're eating an egg daily, because gosh, man, having your own chickens makes those eggs taste so much better. I crave them, man. All right. But Cody, buy or sell? Jackson Arnold will be a top 7 QB in the SEC this season.
Milroe, Beck, Nussmeier.
Oh,
Dart.
you have Nussmeier as third?
No ranked.
Oh.
This is not ranked. I'm going through the list alphabetically. Milrow, Beck, Nussmeier, Dart, Quinn, Brady Cook, Nico.
And then you get
Iamaleava.
right. This is where it gets hard
It's right here.
because Nico and
I'll
Jackson
take Brady
Arnold.
Cook. I'll take Brady Cook. So that's 6. Nico versus Jackson Arnold versus Connor Wagman for 7, I think is a conversation. I think Brock Vandegrift at Kentucky is a conversation to make him, he was a guy that was
You
at
think
Georgia.
that? You do?
He was at Georgia, transferred to
know.
Kentucky. Stoops is going to put together a good team. That team's going to win 8, 9, 10 games. The kid at South Carolina that they just labeled their starter yesterday, Lenore Sellers. He's a rushing quarterback, redshirt freshman. He just got that starting job. He's going to be really good, really solid at least. I'm going to go ahead and sell this for now. I do think it's interesting. I think he's definitely in that conversation. He had a bad, we talked about this last week. I'm working on my column right now that's going through the, Michigan, Oklahoma, A&M, and Georgia kind of information, data drop or whatever you want to call it. And there was not any good, stuff on Jackson Arnold last week. The scrimmage was kind of tough for him. So I haven't got to Oklahoma yet today, but I want to see kind of what the feel is now, because the glass has always been more than half full on Jackson Arnold. And the expectation, if you just walked into Norman and said, hey, where's this kid rank in the SEC? You would think, based on how everyone talks about him, that he's a top 3 quarterback in the conference, but he obviously isn't. So right now I'm going to sell it. I'm going to put him at 8 right after Nico. But I do think that
It's a tough dichotomy between Nico and Jackson Arnold too. You know what I mean? It's like they're kind of not the same dude, but very similar profiles. It's like they both kind of got to start bowl games. They're both super duper like highly rated guys. They can both move. They both are a lot of just awesome raw talent. So
a lot of talent around them.
That's what I thought you would get down to, and I wanted to hear whether you would have Nico or Jackson Arnold ahead, but sounds like you think he's right there on the precipice. All right, now we got through all of that. A quick reminder too, if you guys have fantasy football drafts, our draft web, our NFL fantasy football and NFL draft website is called Roster Watch. You can download the Ultimate Draft cheat sheet right now with a pro membership over there at Roster Watch. If you follow the 3 simple rules at the top of the sheet of paper at rosterwatch.com, you will have an expert quality draft. That's 100%. That's just a 100%er, man. I'm simulating this thing all day. Cody's simulating these things all day. It's the Roster Watch cheat sheet, the only tool that you will need this fantasy draft season. So I know you guys have drafts coming up. All right. If you want me on one shoulder, Cody on the other shoulder, telling you exactly what to do with each pick and making sure you're taking the best value at each pick, go to Roster Watch and download the Ultimate Draft cheat sheet when you get a pro membership. All right. Thanks so much to everybody in the chat. Thanks so much to Texas Beef Traders. Thanks to Specs. Thanks to Poncho Outdoors. We have the Outsiders coming up here. What time is that? At 7:30 or 9:30? I always forget.
I think it's 9. Wait,
there's 9. I don't know, man.
It's you guys are 9:30 East. I think it's 8:30 Central.
You guys just go to the YouTube channel and you'll see the Outsiders, man. It's always fun to see those dudes. That's a fun show. So make sure and check that out. Thanks so much to everybody in the chat. Again, we respect your time. We can't thank you enough for spending some of it with us tonight. For Cody,